think about, oh gosh, she was about 5 or 6, and she's 17, about 10 or 11 years ago, 12 years ago. And it was working, and she was quite impressed, actually. Probably the only time she's ever been impressed with me.
Have you been on the ride?
I haven't, but some years ago, I actually went and I saw the show, and I was sitting in the audience watching the show, and people were looking at me and going, and everybody loved it. But I've only gone and watched the show once, but I haven't done any of the rides. I would like to do that though. We should do it together.
Very scary. Don't look into the eyes of the idol!
This question is for John. Your voice is so rich and so expressive that I want to know what your process is for getting into character for roles that are not human, when you're wearing huge, heavy costumes that obscure a lot of your face, or just being the voice of something like a walking tall plant.
Look, everybody gets something. He looked down on me and said, what an idiot. I've got to give him something, some sort of advantage in life. But it helps also being a stage actor, because you have to develop a vocal power, and with luck it remains with you over the years. But yeah, it's just luck. Let me amplify. May I amplify that just slightly? That sounds like an actor just being politely dismissive. Just luck. The truth is that if you join a company and you work hard, you can go up through those ranks, possibly to the very top of the company. There is no career path for an actor. John Rhys-Davis standing here, quite confident that he's got 4 films to do by the end of the year, which won't happen because we'll still be on strike. John Rhys-Davis may not know that the phone will never go again. There will come a time when the phone doesn't go, and I won't know. I'll be saying to you, well, of course, yes, it's been very quiet at the moment, but my manager tells me that I'm on a short list of 4 for 7 different projects. You know, so it's just a matter of time. I won't know that it's over. So how do you cope with that level of uncertainty? Well, you turn it round. You say, this job that I've got is the last job ever. And you do it as well as you can, as generously as you can, and as kindly to your fellow actors and the people who are putting out money for you, your producers, and you deliver the goods. And if you do that consistently, you know, then there might just be a little delay before finally it's over.
You play a number of characters, nefarious and otherwise. Or do you have any tricks that you kind of get yourself in those roles and in that headspace?
Forever, I go in and I'm always playing the baddie. And I don't know, I am always the baddie. Even in the last film.
Well, I mean, who else could possibly have managed to, how can I put this in a religious community? Consorted with Indiana Jones, Dr. Jones Sr. and Dr. Jones Jr.
In a complimental way.
I had a great time. But I will say that character I played saved everybody's life. She saved everybody's life because she gave the wrong grail to the bad guy. And without her getting rid of him, he would have shot all of you.
You mean the irresistible charms of Indiana Jones persuaded you to halt briefly on the path of evil?
And I landed softly, so I didn't die. I kept saying that on set actually, after it said, and cut. I kept saying, I'm alive, I'm alive! They kept saying, no, you're dead, you're dead.
So what happened to your character then? What did she go on to do?
She hung around for quite a while, and then got a little bored. I thought the Knight looked particularly bored. He had longevity, but it didn't look like much was happening there. So she took off, and she's going to come back if they have another.
You know, actors create characters in their imaginings. We see the script, and then we start thinking about it. We create a past, we create a parentage, a lineage, relationships, and that character lives in our imagination. Do you find that as well?
I do, but I just wish she wasn't as nasty as she was. Because it's very strange. I really do get typecast as the nasty person. Even my last film, I was particularly nasty. And I keep thinking, why? Why? I'm a nice person, let me play a nice salad.
Well, it's all right for her. I got cast because they saw my inner dwarf. Find your inner dwarf. That's what you've got to do.
That's all.
When I went to these fan conventions originally, there was always a young lady like you who would stand up in the room and say, John, did you and Orly hang out a lot together? At which point I would have to point out that at the time he was 19 and I was 55. But then I got more inventive. I used to start off saying, first of all, ladies, I do not happen to have Orlando Bloom's personal telephone number. But if I did, I would give it to you out of sheer malice. He's done wonderfully well, and he's marvelous, and he was absolutely magical, as were all the people in Lord of the Rings. Just magical.
Sean, God rest your soul. He was truly unbelievable, wasn't he? And he actually, in a lot of our scenes, improvised. So all of those quirky, funny little one-liners, she talks in her sleep, came from Sean. And, when I can't forget how wonderful it was. And, well, thank you. It was all Sean. So he was a true professional, all male.
I tell you, I've seen some alpha males in my time, but Sean was, I think, the most alpha that you could ever imagine. He had a charm and a dangerously seductive quality about him that no man that I've ever known or worked with has ever quite matched. You knew he was a man, and girls from 12 to 94 all looked at them, and those wonderful eyes just crinkled up slightly here, and those thin lips sort of pursed together in a wee smile, and you could just see women falling over.
I know we can go for hours, but I think we have time for one more question. No pressure?
Actually, we got two. Oh, we got one.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned an alpha male not greater than Sean Connery. That's because we just met. So you haven't met anyone since. Just want to throw that out there. No, I want to thank you both for being in a movie that I've loved and watched and rewatched my entire life. And I just sincerely want to thank you so much for being here. Final question, I want to ask about your work doing stunts in said movie. How do you feel about doing your own stunts and anything like that?
Well, whenever I'm asked to do a stunt, I always actually enjoy doing stunts once I stay alive. And I'm always very careful that they don't ask me to do a stunt on one of my last days filming, because everything's in the can. And they wouldn't be
If you
afraid.
kill the actor on the last day, you've got enough in the can anyway to get away with it. You don't. They never let you get injured, early in the thing, because A, they got to pay you off, and B, they got to find somebody else.
1000%. But I do remember in the Venice scene, we were actually, Harrison and I, standing in this tin box, and we had buckets of pretty dirty water actually, and we were pouring them over our heads because we were coming out of the catacombs wet, and I was fleeing with Harrison across the bridge, and my shoes were so drenched, and I was wearing high heels, and I had to run with Harrison dragging me, and I'm thinking I'm going to fall, and jump onto the boat, and then actually unlock the rope and go off in the boat. But it was really, really hard, but we were really looked after by the stunt people. But there was one occasion where I am at the front of the boat, and Harrison's behind fighting away, and I was told by Stephen and by George, just power the boat towards us. We're in another boat with the main camera. And I said, okay. And I floored it. And for a second, I'm looking at Steven Spielberg, George Lucas, I think Kathleen Kennedy, and thinking, if I left it too late, this would be on the news, because they'd be wiped out. And luckily, I could see them, and they were looking at me going, and that was quite exciting, and I was really surprised that they actually let me do that. Because, truthfully, again, I saved everybody's life.
Oh, my turn.
Yes.
Stunts. All actors love doing their own stunts, and they have to be restrained. The great trick as a professional actor is to pick your stunt carefully. When that director said to me, all right, I want you on the roof of this house in Dubrovnik, I said, no, I'm going to be on the parapet here. He said, no, it would be better there on the roof. I said, no, because it's an old roof. He said, no, I want you there. I said, get the stuntman there, let's see. The stuntman falls through the roof and he's hanging right on. I said, I tell you what, let's do it from the parapet here. We're shooting Sahara with Brooke Shields. We have 80 Arab stuntmen, and we have unreal stunt riders as well. And we have 400 Bedouin extras, all of whom are damn good horsemen. The director comes to me and says, John, you're the only actor here who can actually ride a horse. I want you at the head of the cavalry charge across the plain. It's a mile charge. We're going to put the long lenses on and see you coming towards us. Fine, sir, I said, but I do want to be about 100 yards ahead of this, because if anything happens, I want to be able to get up from the ground before everybody rides over me. And he said, that's no problem, it's a long shot. We'll have it looking as if you're actually, just 20 yards ahead of it. They shoot that. They come back, and he says, right now, John, we're going to shoot from the side now. We've got you, but it's fine. We need you no more than about 25 yards ahead. I said, why don't we use the stuntman? He said, no problem, because we've got what we need to be visually. And I sat down and I watched my Spanish stunt double, who was born in the saddle, tough, macho fella. And a stray horse cuts across his horse, forces his horse into a bush. It stumbles, it throws him, he rolls, and 400 people ride over him. And I'm sitting there, I'm sitting there watching this action like that, and I'm going, and one part of my brain is saying, oh my God, that's terrible. And the other part of my brain is saying, got that right, didn't I? Broken ribs, battered skull, exposed bone there, exposed bone in the arm, in the thing. I took him a bottle of scotch into the hospital, and he was still as macho as a man can be. Hey, Noah, I'm glad it was, sir, I'm glad it was me and not you. And I said, me too.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. John Rhys-Davies
Wonderful, and I thank you all. And it's so sad to see that you have no homes to go to, but it's wonderful. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much. They can still hear you guys right here on stage. One more time, give a huge round of applause.